So my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin is at 116,600 US dollars. We've almost reached our price target. As of last night, we even got up to 117,600 US dollars. Our red box starts at 117,800 US dollars. So the whole market is pumping right now. Especially the altcoins are following suit because Donald Trump has, let's say, opened up the pension funds for Bitcoin purchases or for holding Bitcoin as reserves, which has pushed the markets upward for now. And then there was another event, but we'll go into more detail about that later in the XRP video. That's a bit too much for today's video. We'll definitely take a look at where there might even be possible short entry opportunities now, how things are looking with Ethereum and of course with stocks, and how things could generally develop from here. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. But before we get started, as always, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also feel free to activate the bell so you'll always be notified whenever there's a new video. And if you're interested, join the free Telegram talk and Signal group. There you'll always get the latest information, including trade updates or notifications when trade entries or take profits are coming up. Everything is in the free Telegram group. The link is down in the video description. And if you want to support the channel a bit more, feel free to sign up with my partner exchange, BingX. Currently, you can still get up to 10% cashback on your Euro deposits. You can grab some bonus tokens or bonus trades there as well. So Bitcoin, 116,600 US dollars. Unfortunately, we just missed the target. Well, the long entry at the bottom was actually just barely missed too, but that's how it goes. That's just the way it is. In any case, we've seen a nice increase here for now, mainly due to the news from Donald Trump since he signed the order, which, to be honest, was already somewhat priced in. Someone wrote in the group, why is there only such a small pump with news like this? It's because it's actually been known for weeks that Trump wanted to do this or was planning to do it. Now he's done it, okay, signed the orders, and at first, a pump, all well and good. Price target's almost reached at least. Still, I would have liked to see a bit more of a pump, to be honest, I have to say. If we look at the funding rates, they're still very, very low. If you remember yesterday's video in the morning, we can also see that, okay, the funding rates have even dropped a little further. The exception here is crypto.com, but we can set that aside for now. And if we also take a look at the heat map on the daily time frame, the $118,000 level, right where our golden pocket is up here, this area, and the 1.618 from this move. There's still a lot of liquidity sitting there on the daily time frame. Let's move on to the higher time frames. There as well, basically, you know the heat map. We've been looking at it every day throughout the week. 120,000. So everything between 118,000 and 120,000 is basically the provisional price target. That means this pump might not be over yet. We could still rise a few more percent here, at least until we reach somewhere between 2 and just under 3% higher. I don't think we'll go any higher. Honestly, I can't really imagine that at the moment. I think after that, there will be a bit of a pullback, hopefully for all the bulls out there with a higher low, so that we can continue to reach our price target to the upside. Of course, we also need to take a look at the traditional markets now. We'll get to those at the end, as always, and especially Nvidia. What's the situation there? Does the price still look strong? Are we starting to see a bit of struggle there? We'll take a look at that in a moment. Otherwise, let's move on to the altcoins. What's been happening with Ethereum? Ethereum has also pumped quite a bit. We've formed a higher high here, and this is that big but again, you know this but when Manu says but, it's not really good. Once again, we've just grabbed the liquidity up here. You can see it here, higher high, but closed below, and that's not good. I would have at least liked to see a 4-hour close above this level. Let's take a look at the whole thing on the 1-hour time frame, and it's the same story. Pump, and then immediately sold off again. That means, as things stand right now, we've only grabbed the liquidity above this high, so we should be extremely cautious here. So with Ethereum, it's possible that this rally is now finished for the time being, even though the price target is somewhere up here between 4,000 and 4,200 US dollars. We might see a pullback here first. Even if we quickly turn on the vector candles here, at least on the 4-hour time frame, we only have a small one. Let's switch to the 1-hour time frame again. Down there, we have another one down to 3,730 US dollars. So we should definitely keep an eye on this area down here between 3,800 and 3,770 US dollars. I definitely don't like how this close ended up happening. So ideally, we should have closed above that, or in the best case, so that we would have, let's say, a bit more chance or more room to the upside. But the RSI is already clearly overbought. However, you have to say the volume has been very, very strong at this point over the past few hours. But as I said, take profits cautiously if you went long there, and for now, just wait and see. Solana, yeah, that's basically fine as well. move to the upside. Although, to be honest, it's not that beautiful of a move, it's actually more of a weak move. Not really great, but well, what isn't now could still happen eventually. The price target here is still between 180 and 188 US dollars, at least for now in the short term. What happens in the next few days we'll have to see, but for now that's the rough first take profit. If anyone still remembers, the entry was, on the one hand, down here in the golden pocket, and on the other hand, the second entry would have been wave 2 here at around 162 or 163 US dollars. Otherwise, stop loss entry is running. Secure your positions, especially since we're heading into the weekend again. So, better safe than sorry. I think that's a fair way to put it. Let's move on to the traditional markets. What's been happening there? Gold, 3,391 US dollars. Still in the range, and our new long order still hasn't been triggered, but just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it can't still happen here. At the moment, it's just a bit of consolidation. The channel is narrowing a bit, so I'd say the opportunity down here is still present. For the sake of completeness, let's pull up the fib from our low to this high. Interestingly, the candlestick structure is pretty similar. We had this wick below the range, and just like with the big one, it was immediately sold off again here. Here it immediately moved back into the range, and we can also see that the golden pocket is currently almost exactly in the area where I wanted it to be. So around 33.22 to 33.17. However, I would place this box here because the vector candle usually should only be filled up to 50%, and since the turning point often happens already at the 0.5 level, it could be that we already placed the order here between 33.40 and 33.18, in this area. So for me, this is clearly a long zone. Let's see if that might still happen today. Why is gold even rising? We have the prospect of interest rate cuts. The prospects are very high, especially after the unemployment numbers were a bit higher again yesterday. I think Trump is also contributing his part to this, so I suspect that interest rate cuts are now pretty much a sure thing for September. Something that could push gold up but could completely plunge the stock markets into crisis. So please don't expect a one-to-one move here where the markets react exactly the same way, pulling out, because the markets don't necessarily correlate one-to-one with an interest rate cut. Let's move on to the euro. US dollar, still in our short zone, so no changes there at the moment either. We actually still have a bit of room, but the golden pocket is reacting for now, so we don't need to go into it in more detail. DAX, yes, it pumped and has now finally filled its gap, but shot way above the golden pocket. Especially what a candle in this 4-hour candle. Okay, still no short position for me here, so I'll leave it at that, even though we're currently forming lower highs on the 4-hour chart. Not really bullish, but for me it's just still a bit too risky at this point, I'd say, to go short here. Nasdaq is consolidating, still doesn't look bad. Dow Jones reacted perfectly to the golden pocket. That would have been more of a short opportunity, but it's recovering again as well. So that would have been a pure stop loss entry. S&P 500 continues to consolidate. And then let's take a quick look at Nvidia. Nvidia is getting closer and closer to my target. My target is up here between 187 and 198 US dollars. I think we could still reach this target by the Fed pivot, that is, by the Fed rate cut. That's really not much anymore if we take a look at it from the current standpoint. Either 3.4% or just under 9% upwards. In the best case, I definitely think that's possible, and it could mean that we'll see the first big wave of sell-offs as well, so be careful and keep an eye on it. Otherwise, I'd just like to wish you a nice and relaxing day. Have a great start to the weekend as well. We'll catch up later for the XRP update as we do every Friday, and I have to say a lot has happened. So XRP has really taken off like a rocket, and otherwise I'd say leave a like, subscribe, join the Telegram group, check out BingX, and we'll talk again later. Until then, bye bye, and as always, stay crypto.